Why is the only real source of power. Without it, you are powerless. And this is how you come to me. Without why, without power.
Whether you clocked it or not, that single line is the most quietly devastating idea in the entire Matrix franchise. So who is the Merovingian? Some say he's just a program. Some say he's the first one, somehow resurrected as code. But strip away the theories for a second and look at what he actually says on screen, because the Merovingian doesn't just have opinions about the Matrix. He explains how it works, tests his own theory in front of two witnesses, and he turns out to be right about almost everything. No one else in this franchise does that. The architect explains destiny. The oracle explains intuition. Only the Merovingian sits you down at his own table and shows you the machinery underneath both of them. This is the case for why the deepest lines in the Matrix don't come from the heroes or the machines. They come from the villain everyone is told not to trust. Before Neo ever meets him, the oracle sets the frame.
He's being held prisoner by a very dangerous program. One of the oldest of us. He is called the Merovingian.
Dangerous to who? To Neo? To Morpheus? Or dangerous to the Matrix itself? The answer depends on what the Oracle actually is, and her real function isn't to help the rebels win. It's to gently steer the rebellion toward a controlled outcome, one that keeps the Matrix stable. So when she calls the Merovingian dangerous, she means dangerous to that stability. He's been around too long. He knows too much. More than a program is supposed to know.
What do all men with power want? More power.
And her answer is a masterclass in oversimplification. That's it. That's the whole explanation she gives. It's the same move a government uses when it needs a boogeyman before an invasion. Reduce a complicated actor down to a single greedy motive so nobody asks further questions. The Oracle needed Neo moving fast, not thinking hard, so she gave him a cartoon villain instead of the truth. What does the Merovingian actually know that no one else does? Here's the truth she skipped. The Merovingian is one of the oldest surviving exiled programs inside the Matrix. He answers to no one, not the machines, not Zion. Picture a crime lord with the patience of an aristocrat, and you're close. In his own words,
I am a trafficker of information. I know everything I can.
He's outlasted resets. He's watched the rise of the One happen again and again. Watched the illusion of choice play out on schedule. Watched entire worlds collapse and reboot. To him, humans are predictable. Rebels follow the same arcs every cycle, and even free will is just a delayed reaction to something that already happened. And unlike almost every other exile in the Matrix, he never got deleted for it. According to the Oracle, programs facing deletion usually choose one of two paths: hide in exile or return to the source. The Merovingian built an entire empire out of that loophole. He surrounds himself with older, obsolete code that should have been erased long ago, like the silver-bulleted twins keeping watch over his restaurant. Men from an earlier Matrix build kept alive because they're too dangerous to properly terminate. He collects the deleted and the disposable and puts them to work. That's not sentimentality. That's a program who understood centuries before anyone else in this story that survival itself is just another cause and effect transaction. That resume is why every line he's about to say lands like a gut punch instead of a rant. This isn't a villain monologuing. This is the only informed witness in the room. Why does he mock them before he teaches them? Neo and Morpheus walk into his restaurant expecting a negotiation.
Who has time? Who has time? But then if we do not ever take time, how can we ever have time?
He's mimicking the excuse every human reaches for. Too busy to think, too busy to reflect, too busy to question their own life. Time becomes the alibi for every decision they never actually made. Then he flips it on them. If you never choose to slow down, if you never decide to pause, time never magically shows up. It isn't found, it's taken. And underneath the wordplay is a direct accusation. Morpheus and Neo don't actually know what they're doing here. What's the one question the red pills can never answer?
The question is, do you know why you are here?
We are looking for the keymaker.
Oh yes, it is true. The keymaker, of course. But this is not a reason, this is not a why.
Morpheus is running on prophecy. The oracle told him time was short, so he's been sprinting through a chain of events he never stopped to question. The Merovingian sees exactly what's happening, and he's not wrong to press on it, because most of us dodge the same question in our own lives. We rarely ask ourselves why, because the honest answer might drag something uncomfortable out of the subconscious. Neo tries to shut it down.
You know the answer to that question. But do you? You think you do, but you do not. You are here because you were sent here. You were told to come here, and then you obeyed.
The Merovingian already knows what happens once they find the keymaker, because he's watched this exact sequence play out before. The reset, Zion wiped out, a new population starting from zero, the cycle looping again. That's why he isn't panicked. He isn't threatened. He's bored. His entire demeanor is one long, oh, not this again, because resisting them was never going to change the outcome. All that's left is to reluctantly play his part.
There is only one constant. One universal, it is the only real truth. Causality. Action, reaction, cause, and effect.
Everything in the Matrix runs like a machine, he's saying. Nothing happens by choice. Every action is just a reaction to something that came before it, pushed by desire, fear, programming, history. Morpheus pushes back with the closest thing to a rebel creed.
Everything begins with choice.
No, wrong. Choice is an illusion created between those with power.
Power decides outcomes. People just choose between options someone else already picked for them. And here's where it gets personal. Every piece of self-help content out there tells you that if you believe in yourself, you can achieve anything. But ask yourself honestly, have you ever made the wrong call? Trusted the wrong instinct? The self isn't something you can fully depend on because it doesn't have perfect information, and it can be manipulated with almost no effort. Believing in yourself, in the Merovingian's world, just means becoming a prisoner of your own illusions and mistaking a script for a decision. And this is the part fans love to skip past. One film later, the architect sits Neo down and confirms the exact mechanics the Merovingian just described in a restaurant over wine. The cycle, the resets, the choice that was engineered to feel like a choice. Every Neo before this one walked the same corridor, made the same decision, and produced the same result. The Merovingian wasn't ranting to hear himself talk. He was quietly briefing the next disposable hero on how the trick works, and neither Neo nor Morpheus was paying attention. Can a feeling really be programmed? He doesn't just argue the theory, he proves it live at the table. He sends a woman a dessert laced with a line of code built to trigger desire. Watch what happens.
She does not understand why. Is it the wine? No. What is it and what is the reason? And soon it does not matter. Soon the why and the reason are gone. And all that matters is the feeling itself.
The second the feeling takes over, the cause stops mattering. Nobody chasing an emotion stops to ask where it came from. Once a primal urge fires, it doesn't need a reason, and the outcome becomes almost predictable because we act on self-interest the moment self-interest gets triggered. He's the only character in the entire trilogy who demonstrates his philosophy instead of asking anyone to take it on faith.
We struggle against it, we fight to deny it, but it is, of course, pretends it is a lie. Beneath our poised appearance, the truth is we are completely out of control.
What actually separates the powerful from the powerless? Now, he turns the demonstration into a verdict on every person in the room, humans and programs alike. Control is the lie. Humans present themselves as rational and self-directed, but underneath, impulse and conditioning are calling the shots long before conscious thought gets a vote. Free will, dignity, choice. Comforting stories we tell ourselves so we don't have to face how little we actually steer.
Our only hope, our only peace is to understand it, to understand the why. Why is what separates us from them, you from me.
Peace comes from understanding why things happen at all, stripped of any appeal to fighting the system or believing harder in freedom, because ignorance is its own kind of slavery. People suffer not because the world is cruel, but because they never trace the chain of causes behind their own hunger, desire, fear, love. They mistake the reaction for a choice every single time. And this is the line already sitting at the top of this video, the one he's now unpacking in full. Why is leverage? If you know what someone wants, what they fear, what they'll choose under pressure, you can move them without ever raising a hand. Anyone acting without that understanding, however righteous they feel, is just reacting blindly to causes they can't see. But his mastery has a blind spot, and he reveals it without meaning to. His idea of power depends entirely on predictability. Love doesn't follow his rules. Faith doesn't follow his rules. Sacrifice doesn't follow his rules. Anything that acts without a rational why walks straight past him, invisible. Then he turns his attention to the one program who's been playing the same game longer than he has.
Run back and gives the fortune teller this message. Her time is almost up.
That's a threat aimed at the Oracle, and it only makes sense once you know he's telling on himself. He believes foreknowledge equals mastery, so he assumes her power works the same way his does. It doesn't. She doesn't control outcomes by predicting them. She shapes them by nudging choice. His warning sounds like dominance, but it's actually fear, because the one force he genuinely cannot touch is influence without force. Why do his words outlive the scene? He refuses to hand over the keymaker, and the reason is bigger than anyone in that restaurant realizes. He knows the reset is coming whether he cooperates or not. Everything he's built gets wiped either way. What he's actually resisting isn't the red pills. It's participation in a cycle he can already see the end of. He understands causality better than anyone else in this franchise, which means he understands that resistance changes nothing. He refuses anyway. Compliance would cost him the last fragment of autonomy he has left, and holding on to it matters more to him than the outcome he already knows is coming. Choosing not to be useful is the only move the system can't fully script for him. Neo doesn't buy the defeat. This isn't over, he warns. The Merovingian barely looks up. The keymaker is his, and he sees no reason to give him up. No reason at all. That confidence isn't arrogance. It's a program who has genuinely never been wrong about how causality plays out, right up until the one variable he never priced in walks through the door wearing his own wife's lipstick.
Cause and effect, my love.
Persephone hands him back his own doctrine at the exact moment it's used against him. He built an empire on the idea that nothing happens without a reason, and the keymaker walks out the door because of a kiss he never accounted for. One film later, cornered in his own club, he says it again, sharper, like the years only proved him wrong.
Some see coincidence, I see consequence. Where others see chance, I see cost.
That's not a man losing his grip on his philosophy. That's a program who's had it confirmed by the universe twice over in 2 different films by 2 different sets of enemies. The Merovingian never gets a redemption arc. He never gets a sympathetic ending, but he's the only character in the entire trilogy whose words hold up exactly as well the second time you watch. Because he isn't selling you a prophecy, he's just telling you how the machine actually runs.